From their eggs to their meat, chicken has been a staple of cuisines around the world. But it wasn't always like that. What was it like before chickens became the food industry superpower they are today? Welcome to History 101. Chicken domestication can be traced back to before 6000 BCE in Southeast Asia, in the regions of southwest China, northern Thailand, and Myanmar. The original ancestor of modern domestic chickens, the Gallus domesticus, with Gallus being Latin for cock or rooster, and domesticus for domestic, is a subspecies of red junglefowl, the Gallus spadiceus. The locals in these regions transported the Gallus spadiceus across Southeast and South Asia, breeding the fowls with other subspecies of junglefowl for their meat and eggs. Or not. These red junglefowl were much smaller than modern-day chickens, laying less than 10 eggs per year. Now for additional context, the average commercial hen nowadays lays around 250 eggs per year at peak production, well over 200 more eggs per year. So if they didn't produce many eggs, nor a lot of meat, what really were these chickens being bred for? Chickens known as gamecocks were bred and trained to fight in cockfighting or entertainment. These fights were bloody, resulting in the death of one or even both of the cocks involved. Cockfighting has been made illegal in many countries, though it still remains legal in some countries, such as the Philippines. In Puerto Rico, it's even nicknamed the national sport of the country. Besides cockfighting, chickens were also used as sacrifices in religious rites. In some cases, chickens were even eaten in ceremonial rituals, though they weren't as popular as other animals, such as cattle. Still, to the majority of people, chickens weren't seen primarily as a food source. Spreading from their native countries, chickens would eventually reach Persia and Mesopotamia, later reaching Greece, North Africa, and the Romans in southern Italy. The widespread consumption of chicken would begin in Greece. In Greece, chickens were mainly consumed by the poor. This would change in Rome as chicken meat became more popular among the military. Due to the portability of chickens, Romans would often transport them across their territory as they fought, being used for food and for divination. In these divinations, chickens were used as oracles. One common practice was for Romans to scatter grains for the chickens to eat. If the chickens refused to eat the grains, then it was said misfortune faced them on the battlefield. There is a famous case of this happening. A Roman general by the name of Publius Claudius Pulcher once threw his sacred chickens into the ocean because they refused to eat the grains. He then proceeded to get demolished against the Carthaginians in the Battle of Drepana. By 800 BCE, chickens had spread westwards to Europe. Around 750 BCE, ancient Egyptians in Roman Egypt discovered the art of artificial insemination, in other words, incubation. Basically, they created large oven-like buildings used as artificial incubators, making it much easier to raise chickens. With this invention, suddenly, there was a lot more chicken available in Roman Egypt, making it a popular meat source among the common people of the region. The rise in the popularity of chickens would soon come to a crashing halt. With the fall of the Roman Empire, one of the world's largest advocates for chicken ownership had fallen. The popularity of chickens would soon begin to rapidly decline, with the population of chickens falling to what it once was over 1,000 years before. Up until the 1700s, chickens were rather obscure, far from their popularity during the time of the Romans. They would mainly be used in cockfighting. Then something happened, a craze that would sweep Europe just as quickly as it left. Welcome to hen fever. In 1842, Queen Victoria received the 7 exotic Cochin China fowls from China. These fowls quickly became a craze in England for their exotic appearance compared to the common fowls in the country. When these fowls laid their eggs, Queen Victoria gifted them to her royal relatives all over Europe, sparking hen fever across the continent. By 1845, Victorians of all stripes were breeding and exchanging these exotic fowls, and soon this craze would even reach the Americas. Hen fever had reached the USA. Americans were quick to join in on the hen holiday, even hosting a poultry show, the Boston Poultry Show in 1889. Before hen fever, chickens were seen as the mongrels walking around their backyards, but now everyone wanted them. Chickens were now seen as valuable and, more importantly, profitable favorite sources of income to farmers, resulting in much more care being placed into breeding them. For over a decade, hen fever thrived until it climaxed in 1855. The market had become oversaturated with these expensive fowls. If everyone had one, who would want to buy one? Demand for these fowls fell, and just like that, hen fever was over. Still, there was a bright side to hen fever. Chickens were no longer in obscurity. However, they were still far from the commercial juggernauts they are today. They would remain in the backyards of households, being raised for their eggs, all until 1923 in Delaware, USA, and it happened by chance. Every year, Mrs. Steele ordered 50 chicks from a Dagsboro hatchery. This time, however, she was mistakenly delivered 500 chicks. Now, you can probably imagine what must have been going on for a man when this happened. Still, instead of returning them, she chose to keep them in a newly built shed, creating the first ever broiler house. A broiler is any chicken that is bred and raised specifically for meat production. After 18 weeks of fattening the chickens, she sold the surviving chickens for 62 cents a pound to city hotels and restaurants in her area, turning in a hefty profit. With this success, she must have thought, perhaps there's a business that can be made from this. So she bought 1,000 more chicks to eat in the next year, and then another 10,000 chicks the year afterwards. Soon people started to take notice of her success and wanted to replicate it, igniting the chicken industry in America. With all eyes on the chicken industry and more investment than ever, many advancements were made in genetic engineering and the food fed to the chickens. Finally, the chicken industry entered the modern age, becoming what it is today. That has been the history of chickens and their domestication. Thanks for watching.